For the man in the street now, there seems to be agreement that petrol should continue to be subsidized. Vincent, do you think we can manage that with our oil export revenue, or do you think that is fine for the short term, but it will cause a lot of problems in the long run?
I think financially the government can afford it, because if you look at it right now, oil-based or petroleum-based revenues, indirectly or directly, is financing maybe 45% of government's budget today. And financially, Petronas can probably be called in to cough up more to support the consumers. But I guess the other question that the other people in the panel are saying is that would this kind of subsidies encourage subsidy mentality and discourage innovation, discourage productivity increases? And you have to relate the mindset of the consumers to the mindset of manufacturers as well, because at the end of the day, it's the consumers who are workers as well. So you need to have that kind of mindset, that that a shared vision for the nation, if you will.
Anyone with comments to that on a petrol subsidy?
I think I agree with him, but if they want to cut the subsidies, they can't remove it totally. But if they want to cut the subsidy, I think the same rule should apply elsewhere in the supply chain, right? On one hand, you want to cut subsidy, and on the other hand, you should do something to the car prices. You are subsidizing Proton for so long, so why should we keep on doing that? And you are giving APs for companies and individuals for no reasons. You can save a lot of money out of that if you take it out and give it to the RTD, Road Transport Department, to handle the whole thing. The revenue goes to the government. And issuing an AP to a third party, they can under declare the car price and pay lesser duties. There's a revenue loss for the government. So a lot of things can be done the other way around if you really have the will. It's provided whether they want to do it or not.
To follow on his point, it boils down to the question of three things, productivity, efficiency, and competitiveness. To use this example, if assuming that Proton is globally competitive, your car prices will be much lower now.
Yeah.
At the same time, you're able to export your cars overseas. Now, if your car prices are, let's say, 40-50% lower than what they are now, a lot of us can afford the extra 20-30% increase in petrol prices. So it's not just petrol price per se. You're right that we have been subsidizing not just Proton, so many of the government and related entities for such a long time. So why are we doing that? Because there is no efficiency trust across the entire economy. So if you are able to achieve that, you find that you free up a lot of other subsidies, indirect or directly, and you'll probably be able to afford petrol prices at 3 ringgit.
Well, the sales taxes on the cars are also a subsidy for the government, because it's a very major component of revenue now, right?
That is a very static situation. If you have a very efficient economy, FDI is going to come in, you're going to get sources of revenue from all kinds of sources. If your economy is growing at the level that Singapore, Hong Kong are growing at 7%, both economies of those two tiny countries are having budget surpluses. Why can they have budget surplus and then we are still running at 3+% budget deficit?
To carry forward his point on subsidies, I think the population has been subsidizing the government in a lot of ways. The privatizations were supposed to bring lower cost of electricity, lower road taxes. Lower taxes. We have not been seeing this. We are still paying among the highest income taxes in the region, in Asia. Why is that so? Why can Singapore be down to 20% of the top bracket? You talk about putting money in the consumer's pocket. That's one way to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Follow President Bush example, tax cuts.
Yeah, the consumer has been supporting the Malaysian economy the last 3-4 years before the commodity prices ran up. The consumer should be rewarded for that, right? Have a generous tax cut, or 10 years ago a 1-year tax holiday. That would be great.
Well, on this privatization issue, how do you find the progress of the GLC transformation at this stage?
I think they're on track. In the initial years, I've mentioned to them don't expect a straight line. It's more a J-curve effect. Now we're getting the J-curve kink up. The question now is to continue on. The low-lying fruits has been harvested, right? The financial transformation is the easy part, right? That's like MAS 4 years ago. Initially, the financial transformation was easy. The operational part is becoming more difficult. It's the more difficult part where they make hard decisions on productivity. Make hard decisions on labor usage, hard decisions on capex. These are the things which drive a business everywhere in the world, and these are the decisions where I think moving on will be even more challenging. Khazanah at this stage, I think, should be looking at more line managers. They have enough financial brains on top. You need people to execute, right? That's my thought.
Any further thoughts on GLC transformation?
I'm just in full agreement, Raymond.
Well, MAS has performed in the last few years, I think, but of course now they are facing these headwinds of fuel costs.
Mm-hmm.
What other performers have there been among the GLCs, or the better ones?
I think
Besides CMB?
I was thinking whether to mention that or not. But I think telecoms is sort of midway. They need more emphasis to get it through. Tenaga is caught in the no man's land. So, and it's more a political decision whether they will or not. So it's not economical, right? So the others, we're seeing amalgamation of the UEM stable. But like I said, the financial part is easy. What happens after that, right? If they have a plan after that, we're waiting to see them to execute, then they should be all right. I think that, in essence, the plans are well laid out. I think Malaysians are also very good planners. We just sometimes get a bit sloppy on the execution, right?
That's putting it very mildly.
Maybe just add to that, I think we're also quite impressed with Malaysian airports. Obviously, Malaysian airports are still halfway through in terms of the transformation, but I think you hit the right point. They've hit the right point in terms of addressing the operational issues. One of the issues that obviously is a quick win, but they recognize the issue, is to adopt essentially the same models as what a lot of international airports have adopted. For example, focusing on retail, maximizing its retail space within the airport itself. Maybe they're even looking into developing surrounding areas around the airport, and potentially Malaysian Airport in KL could be another retail center as well, for example. So they're looking at increasing advertising revenues, improving say the presence of billboards around. So these are all the minor wins that they're having, and I think generally it's one of the, I think Malaysian airports will be one of the more the forefront GLCs with impressive wins.
Actually, to the casual traveller, it seems to them now the LCCT is the main international airport in terms of the travellers you see there. But for Malaysia airports, shouldn't they have made a decision on the the structure by now, in terms of the royalties they have to pay to the government?
Yeah, that again boils down to a decision that has been made by the cabinet. I mean, a lot of studies have been made, then explored, and I think a very apt structure was proposed at the cabinet level, I believe, and it's just a matter of time before it gets ratification.